The last presenting company before our break is CEMATRIX. And we didn't use the TSX Venture Index here, as I wanted to make a different point, that while the stock has been trading fairly flat, what this slide says is that something's not making sense. As you can see from the revenues per share, they're continuing to grow, and yet the stock is 1/4 of what it was 4 years ago as it was entering the down dip. So it's an industrial company with a very, very large runway, which can be hard to quantify. It spent years getting major engineering firms and government agencies on side to put a check mark beside its product, and anybody in the engineering sector can appreciate how difficult it can be to try to convince other engineers to endorse something. It has a proprietary process we'll call the special sauce. It's diversified. Prior to the 2008 meltdown, it relied on one sector, and that almost took the company down. Now that sector is the smallest part of its business. Management wasn't afraid to get its hands dirty. It was out in the field. It was doing projects to get through the real tough times. And on top of that, management cut its own salaries. There are only 33.4 million shares issued. The insiders own 22%, and the stock is only trading at 8 to 10 cents a share. The market cap is about 25% of this year's projected sales. The average daily trading volume in 11 was about 14,000 shares, and the average this year is about the same. I'd like to introduce CFO of CEMATRIX, Bruce McNaught, who's in the audience, and our presenter tonight is the CEO, Jeff Kendrick.
Thank you, Grant, for the introduction. As Grant stated, my name is Jeff Kendrick, and I'm the president and CEO and one of the founders of CEMATRIX Corporation. I'm a chartered accountant by trade, but don't hold that against me. My heart has always been in the construction field. CEMATRIX has weathered many storms during its the early years, as Grant had mentioned, not the least of which was the meltdown of the economy at the end of 2008 and 2009, when all of our work was in the oil sands construction, and essentially all of that oil sands construction ended. It's not easy introducing a new product into the engineering world when engineers are truly adverse to taking any risk whatsoever. But over the years, we've been able to get engineering acceptance throughout Canada, particularly in Alberta, where we started out. It's my hope by the end of this presentation that you'll have a good understanding of what CEMATRIX business is about and why cellular concrete, we believe, is a product which has arrived. Again, I'll go over the forward-looking statement information. There'll be certain statements that I will make that may be forward-looking in nature, and just because of the nature of the business, circumstances may change in the future, which may change those results. Investor highlights. We're currently achieving record revenues. We're the only company in Canada approved to use cellular concrete for various infrastructure applications in several provinces. We have a unique proprietary process. Cellular concrete is gaining acceptance and being increasingly specified by all major engineering firms. We're selling into two significant markets, mainly oil sands and refinery construction and North American infrastructure construction. Our projects are geographically dispersed all over Canada and now into the United States as well. And we've had 14 years of building relationships and raising awareness of the product, mainly with the engineering firms and government agencies throughout Canada. The business of CEMATRIX is the sale or the production and sale of cellular concrete in place. CEMATRIX provides a complete cellular concrete solution, from design engineering assistance to our customer base, to foaming agent development, equipment development, and material mix design development, through to the actual pouring and placement of the product in place. Cellular concrete is a lightweight concrete that is Portland cement based, where all of the aggregate, like sand and gravel, is replaced with a carefully constituted air bubble system. If you look at the pictures, you can see that The aggregate is replaced by air bubbles, and you can see the samples on your tables as well. I put a sample out there for you to look at. What this air does, and this gives the characteristics of the material, which is essentially lightweight with insulating and some structural qualities. What we replace essentially is rigid and other types of insulation, weak and unstable soils, and granular fills. Our customers are essentially engineers that would specify the product into projects, but more and more owners are actually ordering directly. The major markets are infrastructure and oil sands, but there's also a commercial market as well. For infrastructure, we have insulated road bases, runways, retaining wall backfill, MSC panel backfill, bridge abutment fill, tunnel grouting, and shallow utility insulation. For oil sands, we have facility underslab, modules, pipe racks, shallow utilities, fire lines, tank bases, and roads. And you can see the commercial applications as well. The size of the market is really immeasurable. After 14 years of business development, CEMATRIX is just starting to scratch the surface. If you look at just in cities and around you, if you think of the pink insulation in the walls around your house, it's all around you, you don't see it, but it's there. It's the same thing with cellular concrete. You find it under the roads, insulating the shallow utilities, backfill behind MSC panels and backfill of bridge abutments. We're currently pouring under the roads all over the city of Calgary. We're doing work at the McMahon Stadium in the past, currently pouring at the Calgary City Airport behind retaining walls, insulating shallow utilities and tank bases, and more recently we'll be pouring a couple of projects down the Southeast Ring Road, pouring bridge abutment fill. In mines, it's the same thing, from fire line and utility insulation to pipe embedment to tank bases to foundation insulation and support. Essentially, we're getting specified into almost every end of each of these projects. So why is cellular concrete a product that has arrived? Why do we believe it's going to be involved in all of these applications? Well, it's essentially summarized in our value statement. CEMATRIX cellular concrete saves time and money for its customers and is a superior product for lightweight fill, void filling, and insulation applications. We have a letter from on a project from one of our customers. It was done in 2008, 2009. It was not a large project. The letter basically says that we saved the company 5,000 man hours and 7 weeks of construction. So you start to get an idea of the savings that companies can achieve by using cellular concrete in their construction processes. I'll go over some of the projects now that we've done. Keep in mind that in each of these projects, we save the customer, the end customer, time and money. I'll only highlight the bottom left-hand corner, which is probably the most prestigious project that we've done to date, and that's at the Reagan International Airport in Washington, D.C., where we pour 13,000 cubic meters as a lightweight fill over weak and unstable soils to expand the runway aprons. These are two road bases where they're experiencing a significant differential settlement because of weak soils underneath. The first was the heavy-duty road base in Calgary. The second was the road construction project in Yellowknife. Both of them one was repaired in 2001 and the other in 2004 for the last time. They haven't had to be repaired since. A couple other projects over Pete in Brampton, Ontario, and one in the city of Victoria. These again were weak and unstable soils. We save the customer, the end owner of the projects, significant dollars and time. Bridge abutments in L'Atelier, Manitoba, and a residential road base in Ottawa, Ontario. Essentially all soils along riverbanks or in old swamplands where they're now building residential subdivisions are essentially very weak and unstable soils, and they require something to support them, and that would be cellular concrete. Bridge abutments in Winnipeg, Manitoba, and another bridge embankment in Victoria, British Columbia. Another significant use of cellular concrete is tunnel grouting. This is a project in the city of Edmonton. It was completed a number of years ago. We've also completed a number of tunnels in the Ontario area and are really the exclusive supplier of cellular concrete grout for two of the larger grouting companies in southern Ontario. One of our first projects that we were specified in the oil sands was tank bases at one of the oil sands projects. We've done tank bases. This was in 2004, and we've done all their tank bases since. We've done a number of tank bases in many of the other oil sands and refinery projects as well. Other uses of the material in the oil sands is module insulation, insulation of fire lines and shallow utilities. The bottom right picture is actually the largest project that we've completed today. It was about 37,000 cubic meters. Another big application is process facilities, in this case refineries, where it becomes an underslab insulation for all of their facilities. These tend to be large projects and save, one of these projects is one of the ones that I mentioned that saved the owner or the contractor at that time 5,000 man hours and 7 weeks of construction. This particular picture, the top right one, is actually a unique application that we've been started in 2011. One of our customers decided to use a different process in manufacturing their SAGD facilities. In the past, what they do is they go in any of these oil sands construction projects, they go and clear all of the land, then bring a piling company and put piles in every 10 to 20 feet. And then they would tie all the facilities to those piles because it was very weak and unstable soils. Well, an engineer in 2011 convinced the owner that it would be better and much more cost effective to basically clear the land, pour a bed of cellular concrete, eliminate the piles completely, and build the SAGD facility directly on those, on the cellular concrete bed. The project was extremely successful, and because of that, we've done a sister project this year. We just completed in October of 2012, and there'll be many others of these projects over the next years. Okay. Our business strategies. Firstly, in industry diversification, we continue the diversification objective, expanding into infrastructure markets in other regions. Construct new equipment to strategically locate geographically in markets across Canada and to the U.S. Develop new technologies to continue or maintain our position as the leader in low-cost, high-volume, high-quality production, and look to strategic alliances and acquisitions to increase shareholder value. Our strengths are committed and experienced team of people, protected proprietary technologies, engineering acceptance. We have provincial and state approvals. We provide exceptional customer support to our engineering customer base. We continue our research development both internally and with various universities across Canada, and we're a well-known industry leader which actually wins projects for us. Our equipment is completely mobile. We have capacity of over 300,000 cubic meters annually from 2 dry mix units and 3 mix units, and that's seasonally adjusted. We're currently adding new production capacity of 100,000 cubic meters, and that's with 3 new units. One of the big issues with companies and successful companies, of course, is de-risking the challenges and the risk that they faced in building their businesses. One of the biggest risks that we faced was the sole supplier in Canada. Most engineering firms and end customers do not like to use a sole supplier unless the product is that superior. Fortunately, cellular concrete is superior, and because of that, it's being specified by most engineering firms in Canada. Engineering acceptance was an issue in the past, but not so much anymore because of all of the projects we've completed. Economy was an issue before, but because of the diversification into the infrastructure market, which has a less issues or less risk when there's issues with the economy. Competition is minimal in Canada. There's some big suppliers in the US with not the technology that we have, but they are quite capable. Seasonality of our business, of course, is always an issue because most of our business is through the construction period. We continue to plan to expand more in the US in order to reduce the issues around seasonality. And finally, meeting developed demand, or meeting the demand that's coming. The market is growing significantly, so we're a small company. We're building a strong foundation. We continue to build equipment and hire staff to try to keep ahead of the game. But again, it's impossible to forecast the growth that we're going to expect over the next few years. Sales history. It's good to go over this chart because you can see in 2007 where we were extremely focused on the oil sands industry. 91%, the collapse of the market in 2008, 2009, as we started then to focus on the infrastructure market, and now only a small percentage of our business is in the oil sands industry. But the good thing about this is that the infrastructure market is growing and the oil sands market is coming back for us as well. It's another picture of Canada that really shows our focus in 2007 in Alberta and mainly in oil sands. And now in 2012, we're basically spread right across Canada and very little in the oil sands industry. Project summary shows what we've been working on this year and basically what's on our radar. We have about $9 million in projects either contracted or verbally awarded, another $2.6 million contract for 2013, and other projects of $36.5 million. These are projects that we've been approached on where they're in the design stage or we've provided quotes for, and they're not necessarily all going to go ahead. And they may not all go with CEMATRIX, or they may not go with cellular concrete at all, but they are all real projects. Capitalization, as Grant had mentioned, we have about 33.5 million shares outstanding, 1 million warrants, 2.3 million options that are vested, and another 400,000 or 500,000 options which are not vested as of June 30th. Just to go over the investor highlights again, we're achieving record revenues, the only company in Canada approved to use cellular concrete in various provinces, very unique proprietary process. Cellular concrete is gaining acceptance and being increasingly specified by all major engineering firms. We're selling into 2 significant markets. Projects are geographically dispersed across Canada, and we're moving into the United States as well. We have 14 years of building strong relationships with all of our customers and government associations. That's CEMATRIX in a nutshell. I hope that gave you a good idea of what our business is and why we believe that cellular concrete is a product that's arrived. And I thank you for the opportunity to present to you today. Thank you.